Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, let's start this week's community call. It's a pretty exciting one. Welcome. It's Friday. The day is almost over. I hope everybody's happy about that. You know, if you're in the right time zone, the day may actually already be over for you, which is even better. So as you know from the announcement post, today I have with me Oliver, the newest member of Team NIM, who joined as a DevRel associate. Say hi, Oliver, to the people.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you so much for welcoming me, Sudo. It's great to be here. Let's talk about some stuff, eh?
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. It's awesome to have you. And we also have our kind of usual guest at this point who always crashes these calls, Evgeny from Nodes Guru, who probably needs no introduction to anybody.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the call. Let's talk.
Hello there, good sir. And finally, last but not least, I also have the resident disappointer, Ismail, with me for this call.
Hola, hello everyone.
So just the usual housekeeping items. The call is being recorded. You may have noticed Craig and Georg are two recording bots in the audience, very diligently listening to this call and also recording it. So after the call, during the weekend, I'm going to be uploading it to the usual YouTube playlist, which we upload these community calls to. Now, actually, I owed you a few recordings for quite some time, but yesterday I uploaded everything. So now, if you check the playlist, then everything is up there, including my most recent combo with our COO Alexi Russell, which was an encryption day special. This was, don't tell anyone, but this was by far my favorite community call so far. It was really informative and also a pretty awesome combo. Make sure to check it out if you weren't here live. All right, so let's get to the news roundup. Let's start with our first news item for today, which is our UPA news item. I almost said that. So it's the UPA event in Lisbon at the IPFS camp. So myself and Jaya, and also the growth team, the NIM growth team in general, is going to be spending a few days in Lisbon to meet up and work together a little bit on a few things. And using that opportunity, Jaya is going to be attending a UPA panel in Lisbon at the IPFS camp, which is going to be on the 30th of October, Sunday. And it is going to be a pretty great discussion on why we need privacy and what we can do to drive privacy as a default for a better future. So if we'll have links to the recordings or maybe even a live stream, then we'll make sure to share it around on all of our socials. On to you, Ismail.
Yes, thank you. So up next, Ahmed Kapoor of NIM's General Counsel spoke at Lab Week 22. So Ahmed discussed how blockchain technology allows for both individual privacy and broad transparency, and why those things are massively important to our civilization. He also chatted with Will Scott. Will Scott is a research and engineer at Protocol Labs. He's been working with NIM on Anon Drop, which is a tool for allowing the anonymous documentation of war crimes. Next up, we have a new video from Chelsea Manning released on our main Twitter page. In the video, Chelsea Manning expands more on her role within NIM and also really simplifies the mixed-net concept, which you've been hearing a lot about. So if you, a tip from my side, if you really want to introduce maybe some friends or family or co-workers of yours to NIM, to like the general concept of NIM, the mixed-net, mixed nodes, that sort of stuff, please just share them the video which Farnoos has just shared in the chat, because in my opinion it's a very easy way to just explain the mixed net to people, and also just let Chelsea Manning herself do the talking. So please do check it out. It's just 90 seconds or so, and share it with as many people as you can.
Yeah, not only friends and family, but actually I see quite a few new faces in the audience today. So if you need a crash course on how the mixnet works, then make sure to check out the video. Chelsea's great in general at explaining things and breaking them down breaking down complex concepts in very simple ways. So I think everybody can learn from the video. So once again, you can find a link to it in the community call dedicated text channel. Now on to the big news of today, which probably brings quite a few of you to this community call, especially of the new people. Today we've announced Shipyard Academy, which we've been hinting and teasing for quite some time now. Apologies for that, by the way, for those of you who had to sit through it for all of this time. But as of today, you can actually register, and the submissions are open. Now, Shipyard Academy and another program that we are going to announce later this year are just first iterations. So that's important to note because there are more of these coming in the future. We've been looking into what the Web3 space calls ambassador programs for a while, but we didn't like a few things, including like all the tracking that is involved with and basically surveillance that is involved with these programs, which would not be in line with the NIM ethos at all. Tracking your activity on socials and like, share, retweet, and stuff like that. So and besides this, that we didn't like that, we also found that it is quite hard to find nowadays a good, simple, and updated resource about the important issue of privacy and surveillance practices and metadata collection and all of that stuff. So Shipyard Academy is designed to engage our community and educate you guys about NIM and privacy in a fun and structured way, and doing all that without the usual tracking. So those were our goals when developing Shipyard Academy. So we are still going to conduct the program through Discord, though. So if you know anything about privacy, then you realize that this is not that great in terms of privacy. But we will explain even this, as part of the program, what the problem is with Discord, and also with all the other platforms that we like to use these days to communicate on. And hopefully, by the end of the program, not only will you understand what the problem with Discord is, but you will also be able to use Discord through the NIM Mixnet. So that is pretty exciting. That's also one of the goals of the program. Now, links to the Academy's brand new website and also to the announcement blog post were shared in the dedicated communicable text channel. And you can also find a link to join from there. On to you, Ismail, for the rundown.
Yes, so just a quick rundown for anyone who just joined the call. So the Shipyard Academy has a total prize pool of 100k NIM tokens. Yes, that's right, 100k NIM tokens. Submissions have officially opened today. You can already register using the link listed above. There will be 3 stages. Each stage will last about 2 weeks, or exactly 2 weeks. It will start running from the 5th of November, which is Guy Fawkes Night, until the 17th of December. We'll definitely, obviously, share materials with you all to read and watch. It will be scattered around on our different social channels, and at the end of each single week, there will be a quiz. Those who do best at the quizzes themselves will be rewarded from the prize pool. So just to recap, the prize pool is 100k NIM tokens. You'll also be able to work on some objectives collectively, so it's not just an individual thing all the time. If you hit these objectives, the prize pool will grow until it hits a total of 100k NIM tokens. Plus some other things as well, which will be revealed later during the program itself. And during stage 2 and 3, besides acing the quizzes, you will also get a chance to contribute to spreading the NIM message and concept, and to even privacy enhance the internet. So we won't be tracking your every move, obviously, but we will surely have to keep a little bit of an eye on you in a good way to obviously have some sort of leaderboard and to see how we can spread the reward pool itself. So one of the goals of the Shipyard Academy is to recruit ninjas. Yes, that's what I said, ninjas. So ninjas are basically a select group of capable privacy enthusiasts who will work with us to spread the NIM message and grow the NIM community together. On to you.
Exactly. And the main reason why we're going to be keeping an eye on you is not actually to spy on you, but to identify these ninjas. So make sure to do well during the program. I wish you good luck. And actually, if you find our announcement blog post, you can find the link to sign up to the program. Now on to our next segment, which is going to be a really, really interesting one. So today I have with me the newest member of Team NIM, more specifically the DevRel team. Developer relations is pretty important to any project or company which is developing software. But given the fact that the success of NIM is kind of predicated on our community built ecosystem, for us it's downright critical. So until now, Max was carrying that torch alone, which was a hell of a job. And now it's really nice to see someone actually joining him. So give a warm welcome to our guest, who is Ollie. Hi, Ollie. Say hi to the people.
Hey guys, thank you for welcoming me to the chat. Thank you for welcoming me to the call. It's great to be here. And yeah, like Pseudo said, it was just Max holding that mantle, so it's good to have a team building for the DevRel team. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome to have you on, man. In more ways than one. Not only the call, but also the team. You're like a messiah, or maybe
Oh,
like an evangelist. But more on that later.
evangelist.
Evangelist. All right, guys. I'm gonna spoil the fun here. So I was researching for this call, and I looked up, what there is to know about developer relations. And according to Wikipedia, and I quote, "Developer relations is a form of platform evangelism." I find that absolutely hilarious. So from now on, we're going to be using this phrase instead of developer relations. So I have my first question to you, Oliver, is that from your LinkedIn, I see that you started as a as a developer for the most part, and then you chose to gravitate towards more community facing roles, more like the social roles, and that led you to DevRel here at NIM. Why was that your path?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's good to start this story at like when I was at university. So I studied applied computer science at University of Leeds. So it was an excellent balance between like being technical, but also understanding like the business functions, why understand the importance of allowing people to know about the technology that you're working with. So it really suited my personality and I really loved it. And then I did a placement year, so I was working at a company as a software developer. It was an internship, so it was at its infancy of actually like working professionally as a software developer. I took on projects, coding in Java, HTML, CSS, a lot of front end stuff too. And I just saw that I really wasn't enjoying it in the way that I would have. I was expecting to enjoy it because um, I don't know. My personality, I love socializing with people. I love being in those meetings. I love talking to people, engaging with different people. And being a software developer, I didn't want to be that stereotype of, head down, typing away at a keyboard, tucked away in a corner. It's just not me. I wanted to talk about the stuff that I was creating. Um, I wanted to have conversations and like discussions with people about the stuff that I was creating or like part of in like open source projects. Um, and what I found so funny is that like developer advocacy, developer evangelism, like that stuff's not really advertised at like university fairs. So I found out about the role and that like realm of engagement and community facing through just jumping on LinkedIn, just like randomly scrolling on YouTube, some social media stuff, and just questioning. Is this like this? Could this be like a possible like professional role I can do in the future? And yeah, I've gone from developer advocacy to developer relations and working for NIM, and I think it's great. I like the path that I see, so I just want to continue ahead, really.
What's developer advocacy, by the way? Never heard that before. By the
Developer.
way, hi Max. Be careful what you say because your boss is in the chat. He's listening to you.
No, it's good to have Max. It's he's probably heard my story, but I'll love to like echo that story. Developer advocacy, it's pretty similar to evangelism and relations. Developer advocacy, it consists of content creation, just being that bridge between the developer and the business. You probably need like that advocate, you need that bridge, you need that someone that can speak the language of the developers, use very techie words, just put on that hat of being a nerd, being in those calls and just wearing that technical hat of like explaining how a product works. Developer advocacy, relations, and evangelisms, they're all linked together. There's always an aspect of designing something, there's always an aspect of creating something, engagement, you know just talking about the stuff that you're actually creating or like promoting. But yeah.
And when it comes to evangelism of the NIM platform,
Oh yeah.
are you looking forward to anything in particular?
I find it so funny whenever someone says evangelism. Like, it reminds me so much of like something so religious. It's like Like the definition of evangelism, like in religion, is someone who seeks to convert others to a particular faith. I think that's very exaggerated in a way, but I kind of understand what they're getting at whenever they put that in a title. But yeah, like I am looking forward to that developer evangelism, that developer relations role. I think what I'm definitely looking forward to is talking about um, something that I've never delved my head into before, because it's something new to me and it's definitely going to be something new to someone else. And it seems a bit more authentic when I'm discussing it or communicating or engaging with those people.
Do you have any plans of creating content for us? Maybe wink, wink.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I love video creations. I love creating videos. I love a few blog posts too. Documentation is probably, you know, it's the bread and butter. I enjoy the psychological thinking of documentation. Like, what are you trying to achieve with documentation? Are you trying to, you know, give someone homework to do, or are you just going to pass it on to someone and make them feel like they can do this by themselves? I love content creation. And wink wink, like you said, videos are coming out. So I'm gonna put hashtag Shipfield out there.
Yeah, awesome to hear that, and it's pretty exciting actually. This was the one of the secondary reasons why I was really happy to see you join the team, because you're keen on doing this sort of stuff, and I think it's going to be doing wonders for the project. Because just for context, people, you know, most of the team mostly felt about content creation, you know, like as if there were teeth being pulled out. They didn't really like it that much. So hearing it from someone who was actually enthusiastic about it is it's a good thing.
Yeah, I just think like in terms of content creation, sky's the limit, really. So like if you're gonna create like videos, there's loads of different types of learners out there. There's people that prefer to read stuff. The majority of the developer community, they prefer to like, you know, visualize and learn that way. So videos out there, tutorials are going to be very beneficial and advantageous to them to use whenever they're like, you know, trying to complete a task or, you know, inject something into their like project. So I think with my experience, I've encountered a lot of very visual learners. So content creation is definitely got to be like a pillar that's got to stand.
Yeah, that's one thing. I definitely have a visual learning style, so I have a much easier time learning stuff from video than anything else. Maybe I can also listen to things, but not so much read things these days. So you know, there's definitely a place for that as well. But also, NIM is quite complex. You know, it's I only realize this when I'm talking to someone who never heard about NIM, you know, and I'm trying to explain, and I realize that, hey, this is actually like 75 A4 sheets of text that I'm basically putting out at people.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of scary just to see like, you know, a whole Bible of you know, instructions and stuff, and it's good to just accompany that text. I'm not saying that text is going to be just reading paragraphs and like instructions on how to do particular things is not going to benefit everyone, but like I think it'll be nice to accompany um that text with like videos, other types of contents like diagrams, like I said, visual. I'm definitely a visual learner, and like you said, Suda, I think you are too.
A bit of a pivot, but I think if I understood your LinkedIn correctly, this is your first Web3 job, right?
100%. First Web3 job, yes.
Do you see any differences compared to like previous jobs? Is DevRel or evangelism, we should call it, any different here in these realms than in traditional companies in Web 2?
um, so basically, my knowledge of Web3 versus Web2, I just know that, you know, within NIM, you are really promoting that idea of having more privacy, security. So those are the keywords that keep on echoing around my head. when I'm in these meetings at NIM, having these conversations, especially talking to Max as well. I can definitely see a difference here. And in the sense of like Web3 itself, Web3 it will break that paradigm. Like it's moving away from one server to many different ones of like decentralizing servers. That's not something that's been discussed before in previous companies that I've worked for, but it's really prominent working with NIM. So yeah, I could definitely see a difference.
Maybe it's also, I mean, based on my experience so far, it's more community based as well in terms of, you know, we're more reliant on our community to achieve our goals. I mean, for starters, our infrastructure is literally a community effort, right? So that's where it starts. But also similarly to that, we're an open source project, so I guess that's not necessarily unique to Web3, but it's mostly the like open source ethos, right? And we're counting on our grants, especially the upcoming grants, to basically like incentivize our community to build stuff on our infrastructure, which is already community operated. So I think maybe here, as opposed to something like, I don't know, Microsoft or something, you know, things are significantly more community based, and we're much more codependent with our community than traditional companies, I would say.
100%, definitely.
By the way, did you ever have a DevRel role before? Or is this the first DevRel, and before that you were developer advocate, the developer advocate?
Yeah, so this is my first dev role position. I am trying to compare the DevRel to the developer advocacy, and like I said, they're all within the same realm of like community facing roles. So yeah, this is my first ever DevRel role, and I'm excited to where I can scale it. Excited to where I can inject like my previous experience and knowledge into. But yeah.
And oh, sorry, go ahead, Evgeny.
Yeah. How does it feel so far? Like, what's your first assignment, if it's not a secret, and what will be your main focus here? Like, we have so many pieces in NIM, starting with clients, the current infrastructure of mixed node gateways. Documentation is not keeping up to speed, and yeah, it would be really great if you could focus on that one.
Yeah, sure. So what were you saying? That documentation kind of needs a bit of work, or are you trying to think of like ways in which you can make it a bit more dynamic for make it a lot easier, making it a lot more of a beacon of knowledge to developers and people interacting with it?
No, I rather mean that there are so many hidden pieces of it, like the mixnet contract itself. It's not documented in human readable form, but like if you dig into GitHub, you can still find some useful methods and pieces. But it would be great to have some huge overview of the contract itself. I think it's a really interesting topic for developers and just tech savvy guys.
I sometimes see documentation as like this is going to be a very weird analogy, but I sometimes see it as like a house, and it's got a front door and a back door to it, and the people that go through the front door to see this documentation, they're either going to be like non-technical or very technical individuals, and they're probably going to pass it on to the technical people. I believe that the documentation should be your initial source of initial resource, and then within that documentation are embedded links and like external links that will take you to stuff on the NIM wallet, stuff that will take you to the contracts too. It should be a place of where the developers should be able to jump back into if they needed to. It shouldn't be this a linear kind of thing. They should be able to jump it back into it and seek out the resources that they are needed to complete their tasks. So if they wanted to set up a mixed nodes, everything's there. There might be some hidden things. There might be some questions. But like you said, there are some hidden aspects. But what I aim to do is kind of improve the documentation where it's explaining and not just giving a set of instructions, because there's people out there that want to understand how to create what this is actually doing and how to create this. But yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. So far, the documentation was really helpful and easy to use, I think, and everyone can resonate with that. Starting from early test nights, like it was always just enough and helpful, I think.
Yeah, I think my experience with documentation in the past has been so I've worked as a software architect, so it's very similar to a bit of developing as well. So I was developing a lot in PHP and working with REST APIs, and the occasional SOAP too. And I've seen some very terrible documentation out there that doesn't give enough information. And then you're organizing more calls, and the timeline of that open source project is, they probably wanted it to be completed at a certain stage, and it's not going to be completed then because it just goes back to the documentation. It doesn't have enough information to help the developer complete parts of it. So I think it's nice that I've been the software developer, I've been the developer advocate, so I've been on both sides of the wall, and I'm going to use that as a benefit to, enhancing, augmenting certain things in the documentation for everyone else to experience better than I did.
I have a question for you, Oliver. Just one in between the other questions. I can see that Ivan sent a question in the community call chat. So what I've been wondering about since the start of the call, actually, what initially attracted you to the crypto space? Like how long have you been maybe in buying crypto or holding crypto, watching crypto news, etc.?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, I remember when crypto started booming around, was it 2016, 2017? I see a lot of things on social media about crypto, how it's going to make you so much money in the future, how it's going to be the next big thing, how banks are going to go with, using that sense of money. They're going to get rid of their banknotes and they're going to start using digital money and stuff. I'm fairly new to the crypto space, but I'm not too new in the sense of understanding the security of it all. I did a module at university on cryptography. It was very mathematical, but also explained like the benefits of it, different types of like how difficult it is to hack and like the attacks and stuff. So I'm fairly new, but I know enough. I know enough where I can advance to something better in terms of like putting some money down for some crypto coins, Ethereum, XRPs and stuff like that. But yeah.
All right, that's great. Thank you. So now we have a little bit of a more clear picture of how it all started for you. So Ivan has a question for you, which is quite interesting, if I say so myself. So I recently shared the poster, the picture with your face on it, for this day's event.
Announcement, the announcement, the
Yeah,
announcement post with
the,
your quote on it.
exactly, yeah. And Ivan's he's wondering what does the quote mean on your picture? So the quote on your picture is, "Privacy is not something that I'm merely entitled to, it's an absolute prerequisite."
Yeah. It's very interesting because the key word that comes out there is entitled and prerequisite. So whenever someone says something to you like, I'm entitled to this, it's almost like you should just definitely give it to me. But like when we're talking about privacy, it's a prerequisite. Like we should be able to jump on the internet and know that I have that security. Everything I'm doing is not tracked. Information that I'm sending over, messages, communication, privacy should be a prerequisite. It's not something that should be thought about in the sense of, oh, there shouldn't be like a checkbox being like, hey, do you want privacy? No, I deserve it. I'm allowed it. I should have privacy. I should be able to jump onto the internet safely and not know that, the government or people are tracking everything I'm doing.
Yeah. So on top of that, it's it shouldn't be anybody's decision. Of course, it shouldn't be yours. It should be the default for you that you don't need to jump through hoops to stay private, and it should be very possible for you, and it should be the default. But also, it shouldn't be anybody's goodwill that, hey, yeah, I think this guy is a good guy, so let's give him privacy. But this other guy, maybe I want to keep my eyes on him. That's yeah, it should be a prerequisite rather than something that you're entitled to just merely. I like the quote.
Yeah, I sometimes think because before joining in, I was also thinking about like knowledge-based recommenders, and like there's the pockets of people that care about they want to jump on the internet or jump on Amazon or something like that, and the products that they're buying, they want to be tailored to them. So the computer and like the internet is understanding their behavior on a particular website, or understanding the messages that they're sending to someone, and the next time you send that message, here's a recommendation of using this word instead of that word, or we know what messages you sent before, so here's a list of the ones you can just click on. You know how like Apple works, and when you like send a message to someone, it kind of knows, it premeditates what messages you're going to send or what words you're going to use. That's what I found very interesting, because some people do prefer that, but I don't think they truly understand, the depth of how much the internet is building this persona of them. So I think we just need to like create awareness and give a bit of knowledge about like how the internet is working in that sense, and then people will understand and start chanting out the quote, privacy is not something that is merely entitled to, like it's an absolute prerequisite. People start saying that now.
Yeah, I guess what seems to be difficult is to get people to care who are privileged enough not to have to care about their privacy. It's very easy to say I don't have anything to hide, so why should I care? Until some stuff that you have becomes stuff to hide, and that's I think the big like underlying problem, mostly here in the West, where I'm sitting, that we just don't have any acute. I mean, like it's not a problem. It's a good thing. I'm knocking on wood and whatnot, that we don't have any like direct way of of meeting the cold reality of stuff becoming to hide that we don't have to hide right now, but that could change in a whim in the future, and kind of problematic.
Yeah, very true in that. Yeah.
Bringing
On the
Jaya
other,
on the stage as well.
like on,
Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
hey Jam,
Hello, boss.
Hello.
Good to be here. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I was preparing for our next big Universal Privacy Alliance event that's happening in Lisbon on Sunday, where we're hopefully going to be announcing the principles of the alliance. So, for those of you that are listening in on the call and don't know what I'm talking about, NIM, along with Manta and Secret Network and Orchid and a whole bunch of other organizations, have started to put together a broad alliance, currently very much focused on the crypto industry, but we're going to expand beyond that to privacy tech more generally. And it's an alliance to really shift the narrative around privacy and share some common resources and common legal research and defense in this space. We're doing our second event in Lisbon this Sunday. The first event happened in Bogota during DevCon, and we had the eminent Edward Snowden join us. And right now I'm working quite intensively to get another surprise major guest to join us. You're free to guess who I might bring on board, but that's still to be confirmed. But I'm pretty excited about the event. I think it's going to be a good one, a good follow-up.
Yeah, I went over the event at the beginning as a quick news item, but I kind of butchered it. So it's thanks for coming on and explaining it a bit more detail.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to understand the importance of what this really is about. That this is an alliance that's really focused on the builders of privacy tech. And if we think of this in a kind of bigger historical perspective, now more than ever before, builders of technology are in a position of quite major influence. And what I mean by that is that we're actually in a situation in a historical period where we have, an unprecedented amount of our lives are mediated through digital technologies and communication technologies. And so the people that are building those and the kind of the actual architecture of these communication technologies is something that has an immediate and direct impact on billions of people's lives. So, when we create an alliance at this moment in time, it's a potentially very, very powerful thing, because it's not just privacy in the abstract. It's not just privacy as a kind of general, legal construct or some vague idea of what we have the right to or whatever. It's privacy, by default integrated into the actual infrastructures that otherwise open up, huge avenues for attack and surveillance. So, yeah, so it's a priority for us. It's pretty important. It's pretty major, and we want to kind of create, I guess, like a better venue for coordination is another way to put it. So, right now you've got a ton of very interesting privacy projects in the crypto space, in the Web3 space, and of course beyond. But everyone's kind of like doing their own thing and fighting their own battles. And we want to kind of start bringing people together and also paint a kind of unified picture of what does full stack privacy look like. So, which companies and organizations are covering which part of the stack, and how we can kind of create a fully integrated, holistic approach to privacy.
What is full stack privacy?
Sorry?
Can we define that?
Holistic
What is
approach.
full stack privacy? No, full stack privacy. How would you define that?
So, I mean, the best way to define full stack privacy is to give a little bit of an educational, background to NIM, right? So most of you who are listening on this call probably, know this already, but if there happens to be any new NIMsters here, NIM is a mixed net and it provides network layer privacy, right? So what that means is we protect privacy at the packet layer. So when packets kind of move around in the network, an observer that's looking at the patterns of the packets moving through the network can deduce a lot of information from that, right? So there's a kind of privacy issue there, and that's something that a mixed net like the one that NIM is building is uniquely capable of protecting. So there are certain types of attacks, there are certain types of surveillance, especially mass surveillance and especially surveillance that's driven by machine learning that analyzes metadata. That's the kind of attack vectors that NIM protects. But then, of course, you've got attack vectors elsewhere in the stack. So, what happens in the browser, what happens in various apps on people's phones. This kind of thing is something that you need other types of privacy protections for. So it's really about kind of mapping out that whole space and start creating like some kind of collaboration across projects that try and address the many different types of surveillance attacks that exist in digital technologies. And NIM, let's see, like there's one way to look at it is like the stack, right? It's like from super low level all the way through to the kind of user interface and the kind of application layer. But then another way to look at it is also, from left to right, in a sense, is how I visualize it in my head. Is to understand it in terms of like whether this is, whether you're addressing core infrastructure or you're addressing, the consumer level. And here NIM sits a little bit in between. So we're, on the one hand, NIM is going to become increasingly usable as a type of kind of very powerful VPN service in a sense, right? So that will be something that's directly, at the consumer level. But ideally, and the intention has always been for NIM to actually be integrated at the infrastructure level. So, to think of it in business terms, it's a B2B offering, right? So NIM integrated into existing services that other people are using in their day-to-day lives. So, yeah.
Not only that, but also serve as a platform to build not existing things that are made possible by the NIM mixnet.
Yeah,
on their
exactly.
platform.
I mean, overall, I think there's a lot of work to be done on explaining to people exactly how privacy, and when you protect privacy, how that kind of enables new possibilities for people. And I think we have a big job to do there. So, that's another thing that we want to try and achieve with UPS is Universal Privacy Alliance is to shift the narrative, right, and to shift the imagination of what people understand privacy to be. And if you'll allow me to rant even more on that, Simon,
Please go ahead.
I think that so far it's been like, I have this sense that generally speaking, there's a lot of naivety still about just the scale of the problem that we're facing right now when it comes to surveillance. I mean, when you think about it, literally from school all the way through to work, democratic societal processes, through to shopping, all the way through to the most intimate relationships and social life. All these processes are now becoming digitally mediated, and when you start thinking about just the scale and how quickly that's happened, it is actually it's pretty staggering, and the privacy problems that we're facing are pretty immense. And so, there's been, I think it feels a little bit like so far we've been, addressing privacy as this thing that we need to like maybe consider every once in a while and try and protect every once in a while. But I actually think that privacy at this point might be one of the most disrupted forms of technologies out there. So, and what do I mean by disruptive? I mean, like, it will literally shift the innovation pathway in the digital space. And why am I saying that? Because it's an intervention into the data pipeline, right? So what actually happens is, if you look at, what does a data pipeline mean? I mean, traditionally, when we think of surveillance, we're still thinking in 19th century terms, right? We're thinking like, oh, a state, the evil state has a database over its citizens and is going to do something evil to them or something. Today, when we're talking about databases, we're talking about huge repositories of knowledge that are privately controlled, by a handful of corporations. And those corporations are in the jurisdiction of one government in the world, right? And so, that those data repositories are not just kind of there to be kind of enacted upon, they're actually like the very food for the future forms of innovation. And here I'm talking specifically about machine learning, I'm talking about artificial intelligence, and the direction that these technical innovations are gonna head to in the future. And the decision making around that is, it's a handful of people are making decisions about that. So when I'm talking about, privacy technology being disruptive, I'm saying it's going to be disruptive for those entire industries. And that's, from advertising, digital advertising all the way through to artificial intelligence, which touches upon, I don't know how many different industries at this point, because AI is being integrated into so many different processes, from industrial manufacturing through to consumer level applications. So, that's the scale of this topic, really.
Big rent. Now, it is pretty hard to imagine for me. I guess it's disruptive in more ways than one, in more ways than just what you outlined, because it is also pretty hard to imagine, given the fact that basically our entire economic model that we live under these days is based on surveillance. It's very hard to imagine a counter to that. Like, how do you come up with a new system, economically that is predicated in something other than surveillance and data and behavioral surplus and all of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, and that's why it's so interesting to have the Web3 space having emerged in the meantime, right? And new economic experiments there, because it's like it tickles the brain. It's like, okay, so is there an alternative to the surveillance-based business model here? Can we find a way to ensure that privacy is incentivized, so to speak, rather than surveillance? And that's the hypothesis of NIM, right? That's what we're trying to do here. That's why we're integrating a token. That's why we're in the Web3 space and we're not just a traditional VPN.
I have a very very Jaya suited question from Media Prophet in the chat,
Mhm.
actually. And also Oliver, I would like to riff on this as well. I would like you to riff on this as well. So is it truly privacy tech or is it human dignity tech?
Yeah, human dignity tech. I like that. Exactly. I mean, that's the essence, right? That's like, privacy is almost like this kind of privacy doesn't really have like, so it has a little bit of a value in and of itself, but it's more all the things that privacy enables that's valuable, right? And dignity is absolutely one of them. Dignity is one of them. Freedom is one of them. The freedom to develop, the freedom to make mistakes. It's you're absolutely on point, Media Prophet.
100%, yeah. To see like when just seeing in that title like human dignity, the fact that you just mentioned human, it's like I deserve that. Like I mentioned before, my quote, like I just see the privacy tech as just like a little branch of the human dignity thing.
Mhm. Absolutely. Have you all talked about Shipyard already? Because that's obviously also at the forefront of my mind. I mean, we can talk a little bit more about Universal Privacy Alliance if you want, but I feel like, let's do the event in Lisbon. Would be fantastic if people on this call want to listen into that event. It's happening as part of the IPFS camp, and I think it's going to be a fantastic panel. Like I said, hopefully we have a surprise guest, which is going to be super exciting if they can make it. Feel free to guess who that might be. But yeah, the other major event, obviously, or the major topic this week is Shipyard Academy, and I'm guessing you've already introduced that, Simon.
Yeah, we did go through like real quick, but just for context, guys, Jaya and I have been working on this program for quite some time, quite closely together. So I think it's worth going through together once again. So basically, we gave the basic rundown, the basic details, shared some links, and also I did highlight the fact that we're sort of not happy with how these ambassador programs in the space in general are conducted, given all the surveillance and tracking that they involve. So I told people, that we tried to build something that is different from that. So that's why we are relying so heavily on quizzes rather than tracking. What else would you add?
I would add that it's good to take a kind of for me, Shipyard is about, first of all, of course, onboarding people into the NIM community in a nice way and give people the chance to kind of test their knowledge and for all of us to kind of have a little bit of fun with the quizzes and stuff. It's also a kind of exercise in trying to take an honest look at what are the tools that we're using and how can we do things differently. So when it comes to privacy tech, there is, we're still in this period of time where it's really annoying to have to kind of make these, frankly, quite kind of like, these compromises over and over again, right? Where it's like, well, okay, we got to use, Discord, even though we know there's a ton of privacy problems, or we got to use, Google or this and that. And I think it's time. I think the space has matured enough for us as a community to start experimenting with lots of other platforms. And in our channels, of course, we've had quite a few people that have been pretty unhappy with the contradictions of being a privacy project like NIM, but using, community spaces like Discord and Telegram. And I feel similarly, it is a contradiction. So one of the things that we want to do is to highlight that exactly as a contradiction and the reasons for why we do continue to use Discord and Telegram, because it's basically the two main tools that are used to gather communities in the Web3 space. And because it's the main tools to gather communities, we want to be there and we want to tell people exactly what the problems are, right? So in that sense, like it's a way to build a strong community that's very self-aware, is how I'd understand Shipyard, and for us to kind of actually start working together in a meaningful way.
Exactly, and Shipyard itself is self-aware. So like I mentioned during the news roundup where I talked about Shipyard, we are going to go through extensively what the privacy issues of Discord are, and also we're going to attempt. I don't know if it's too early to talk about it or not, but we're going to attempt to privacy enhance Discord through the NIM mixnet if it's possible at all. For that, we'll need to be able to route through Discord's traffic through SOX 5. So if anybody has ideas, then make sure to join the program because your ideas are going to be well rewarded.
Nice one. Zulip. Yeah, any suggestions for places that you want to be as like a community member in terms of platforms, please do send them through. We've got several requests for Matrix already, and we're doing a bunch of tests on that and stuff. But we're more than open to suggestions. We've got our own plans, but of course, ideally want to have everybody else's ideas too. What else is there to say on Shipyard other than, good luck everyone and have fun when it kicks off next week. Let's see.
Ollie, I never asked you about your opinion of Shipyard Academy. What do you think based on what you've seen so far?
I'm definitely down for it. My opinion about shipyards is that, like you said, Jai, it's onboarding people within the NIM community, and I'm all for onboarding. I love, in whatever form it comes, whether it's just jumping in a meeting or having a conversation with someone or setting up an academy. It's a great way. It's a excellent approach in terms of like getting more people involved and kind of like practicing certain things within NIM.
We've actually given Oliver like a lot of work to do for Shipyard.
Oh yeah.
Oliver is going to be producing a lot of nice little introductions to the NIM docs and to the NIM architecture for people to learn more. So you'll be hearing more from him.
Jaya spilled the beans. We were trying to be very mysterious about this, and now you killed it, Jaya. Good job.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's completely fine. Yeah, so there's a reason, ladies and gentlemen, why I've been so happy to hear someone so keen to produce content. It's going to come very handy for Shipyard Academy as well. So stay tuned for that.
Oliver, did
Evgeny, you were about to say something.
Did you have time to use Mixnet, maybe with Telegram, or just tinker with it, route some traffic?
So I had a bit of fun with it. So by the help of Max, thank you so much for introducing me to how to get it done through the terminal. So I had to play around with it on Keybase to see what traffic was pumping through, automating it as well. So the docs are very helpful in that sense, that it kind of educates you and tells you every step of the way. And it's even better to look through the docs and have someone else help you out with it as well, someone that's a bit more experienced to it. And then at the end of the road, you're kind of like, oh wow, okay, we should definitely communicate to everyone why you should be doing this, because it's security, it's privacy, it's the things that it's human decency, it's human dignity. Like it's what everyone should have. But yeah, I had a little play around with it too. Stuff with the gateways, looking into the validators and the network requesters. But yeah, I've got a couple more chapters to go through, but it's feeling good so far.
How do you like it?
Do you have a node running?
Yeah, and that's also a good question. Do you plan to run a mixed node? Maybe try to attract some delegations. Like you have your hour to promote yourself.
I'll definitely put together a next node. I'm probably going to need help on naming, giving it a better ID than just Oliver Node 1. I'm probably going to need some help on that. But yeah, I'm probably going to run some mixed nodes soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we have any community questions for either Ollie or Jaya, or maybe even Evgeny or me? Because I am personally out of questions, to be completely honest with you. People are typing. Let's wait for that.
We've got one from Mr. Rabbit, if I pronounced that correctly. So any tips for someone who'd like to apply for a NIM position? That's very interesting.
Very interesting, man.
Well, maybe Ollie can answer that question, given that he's done so successfully really recently.
Any tips? Honestly, it's just, I'm just trying to think back to it. It was just 2 weeks ago, but I'm just trying to think back to it. I was just very open and honest about my experience from where I've came from being a developer to being a developer advocate and what I want to achieve in the future. I was just very open and honest about what I was seeking in terms of a role and how I wanted to transfer and be a bit more surrounded by a technological company like this. And I was very intrigued at first. I was very intrigued in the sense that, you know, privacy is not something that is continuously echoed around me. So especially when I'm like playing a lot of games, being on the internet, I was very intrigued in how NIM was able to achieve that and how they're trying to, promote that idea of being secure on the internet. But yeah, sum that up, open and honest.
If Ollie can continue.
So
exactly, just continue to riff on this, guys. Continue to riff on this, guys, and I'm going to look up my conversation with Jack, our head of people operations, which I think you should listen to if you're going to apply to any position at NIM.
Yeah, absolutely. Do that. Get the community call with Jack. And then also, obviously, the best place to start is we've got job listings. So do have a look. There's actually pretty much always open positions. We're hiring kind of pretty much on a regular basis right now. So do have a look there. And then otherwise, feel free to reach out to the team and tell us a bit about yourself and your skills and what you'd like to do for us. I put the link to the job site in the community call chat channel, by the way, just above Sudo's link.
Yeah, and I dropped the conversation with Jack. It was a really interesting one, so I recommend everybody listening to it, especially if you're looking for a job at NIM, but even if you aren't, super interesting. All right, ladies and gents, any further questions for us?
Yeah, I have one. How do you politely tell your next door neighbor that he's not allowed to just open your door and come into your house at random times in the morning when you just are drinking your morning coffee? If anyone can give me some tips, then yes, I need it.
I think maybe some not so polite ways are warranted here. Just in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, he's a very nice guy. He retired a few years back, but but it's funny because I think about privacy a lot, and and whenever we have these community calls and talk about privacy, and I always need to think of him. Like he just randomly goes into my house and shows me the amazing pictures he made that day, which kind of worries me a bit sometimes. Anyway, enough for
Pretty
the
insane.
personal. Yeah.
You should tell him about NIM.
He wouldn't care. He wouldn't even care. Believe me. You have to see it to believe it.
Great. Thanks, everyone, for the call today. It was good to pop in briefly and catch you next time.
Thanks for
awesome to
being
have
the
you,
secret
Jaya.
guest.
Thank you, Jaya.
Before I hand over to Ismail so that he can explain to you guys how you can claim your POAP for attending this call, I would like to go through the regular housekeeping items. So first of all, thanks everyone for joining this call. It's been magnificent, and also a recording has been made. You can see our recording bots in the audience. Say hi to Craig and Giark. So the recording will be uploaded to the regular YouTube playlist with all the community calls. And have a lovely weekend, everybody.
Yes, thank you all for joining us today. I've had a blast. I hope you've all had a fun time as well. Thank you, as always, for sending in your questions and participating in the discussion. Also, thank you to our lovely guest of the day, Oliver, and also Jaya and Evgeny, of course. So, in order to claim this week's proof of attendance protocol asset, please go to the community call channel. I'll send a link to the designated channel where you can claim your POAP, which is the Claim Attendance NFT channel. And in the Claim Attendance NFT channel, there'll be a short guide on how to claim. Basically, you just need to send a /claim command, and that's it. If you have any troubles, please DM me or ask Jay, Pizza Jay, one of our community managers, and we'll be with you very shortly. So yeah, thank you all so much for this call today, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, it's just nice to sit down and have a chat about stuff. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Oliver, for the call. And yeah, hope we will work together a lot.